Part 17 of 25, Seeing Emily, from Good Little Boys Go to Heaven by Stukin. Fall 1962, East Texas. Why'd you leave me, Joey? I left East County, Texas, Em, and you left me. I couldn't have looked after you and Jewel. I could have looked after us all. Fall 1956, East Texas. First time I remember seeing Emily, I was in town making groceries for my mama and me. I might have seen her before, but this was the first time I noticed her. I stopped still and stood staring at her for a few moments. She didn't see me. She was turned facing to the side. She turned to me, looked right at me, and smiled. My memory tells me I stood still, staring at her, not moving at all. Who are you shopping for? She asked while coming up to me. I hesitated, unsure first of what she had said. After her words had fully run through my mind, I responded, My mama and me. I'm getting some things my mama and I need. Why don't your mama get your groceries? She's not able, I responded. She nodded. Tell her I hope she becomes able soon. Emily was tall, about 6 feet, a few inches shy of me, and she was thin. Her body had a muscular look, feminine but muscular nonetheless. She looked to be as strong as most men. She was yellow like me. Being yellow meant she mixed black with white. I thought about her every day for a week. I decided it was time to go get more groceries. She was there again, working. How's your mama? Better, but it's still up to me to get groceries for the two of us. Do you know my mama? No, I don't think so. I might, but I don't know. How come I never see you in church? Does your mama come to church? Does she shop here? She hasn't shopped here in a while. I've never been there. You never been to church, you mean? I never saw you in school neither. You and your mama new to the county? We've been here a while. We've been in the county my whole life, but we kept to ourselves. My mama kept us to ourselves. I thought briefly for as long as we'd been here. I was born here. My mama came here at a young age. We never seemed to exist to anyone. But we knew people. People knew us. We knew the girls preaching. He knew of us. He knew us. My mama had shopped at this store with me standing out front, never going in. She knew them there and they knew her. If we crossed paths with others, she probably had seen my mama, but I didn't want to go into all that. I ended up back at We Didn't Know Anyone, and no one knew us. I grabbed a few things, paid for them at the counter, and headed for the door. See you in church Sunday, she said. I nodded my head and smiled. I headed home. The way I usually walked home, it was a couple of hours' walk from town to where my mama and I lived. That was the quickest walk I had ever had. I didn't have any church clothes. I wouldn't have gone inside the church if I had. My mom and I used to read to each other from the Bible, but we never made it inside a church for some reason. Sunday, I went by her church. There wasn't anyone there when I arrived. I had no idea what hour their service began, and I got there early to make sure I was there when she showed. I stood on the opposite side of the road from the church, a short piece down the road, going away from town. People began to arrive. The ones who arrived from my direction greeted me with a nod of their heads if they walked by, or a wave of their hands if they drove by. I saw her and a small girl walking up the dirt road from the opposite side of the church. She never looked my way, never saw me. She and the young girl went inside. I didn't. I waited outside. When the congregation let out, I crossed the dirt road that led past the church and went past the church so that if she left in the same direction she'd come from, she'd have to walk past me. I just stood there and watched the folks walking out. Those who walked past me greeted me with a nod of their heads. Then she appeared in the doorway. She still had the little girl by the hand. They were both dressed in light blue dresses. The little girl looked to be about 4 or 5. They walked out and started up the road. As they were passing me, she looked over and smiled. I meant to say I'd see you in church. Your people don't believe in God? How long have you been waiting outside here? Yeah, we believe in God. I've been waiting just a little while. Why didn't you come in? I wasn't sure I'd be able to stay for the whole service. I just prayed along from outside. She smiled. This is Jewel, my sister. Say hello to this dumb boy, Jewel. The little one looked at me, screwed up her face, and crossed over to the other side of her bigger sister so that now the bigger sister stood between the two of us. The older girl looked down, smiling at her sister, Jewel. See you next Sunday, she said. I'm Joey. See you next Sunday, Joey. What happens until next Sunday? I asked. I'm supposed to plan your week for you? I thought maybe we could visit for a while. Okay, Joey, let's stand here and visit for a while. I thought I'd seen something in the way she acted towards me in the store that said she liked me. I was at a loss for words, so of course I said something stupid. Something stupid. What? You're something stupid. I came by to see you and you're telling me to get away from you. I never told you to get away from me. And what if I did? Why does that make me something stupid? What's great about having you around? Nothing. Nothing is great about having me around. I turned to walk away. Joe, if you want to come by and visit, that'll be fine. It can't be today. Jewel and I have other plans. And you should have come into the church. Praying alongside from outside don't count. I stood there watching them walk away. They had walked about 100 feet or so when Emily looked back again. She smiled and waved me toward them. When I caught up, she just looked at me, shook her head, and resumed her walk home. This is where Jewel and I live, she said when we were approaching their home. It ain't much, but this is where Jewel and me live. Jewel, go in and change your clothes. Who else lives here with y'all? I asked after we had stopped in front of their shack. She didn't respond. She just turned and walked away. She sat down when she reached a tree stump about 10 feet from the shack. Where do you and your mama live? She asked. You know the river? The big river that runs across the county that everyone knows? Yes, I know it. You live in the river? We live down the river about 3 miles or so, then west about a mile. She nodded her head like she knew the exact place I was talking about. You want some sort of refreshment? She asked. I shook my head. I'd better get home. Gotta make my mama some dinner. She ain't been doing well lately. She nodded her head. I'll see you later then? She asked. I nodded my head. A couple of days passed with me thinking only about Emily. I decided I'd waited for a decent amount of time. I went by her house. I didn't see any signs of anyone. I walked up to the front door but didn't knock. I walked over to the stump she sat on a few days before. I sat down. I just sat there looking around, seeing what I could see. I'd only been there for 10 minutes or so when the front door opened. She stuck her head out. Hey, was all she said at first. Hey was all I said in response. She then walked out, looking all around like she was looking for somebody. Sorry, you expecting somebody? She shook her head. What are you doing? She asked. Just sitting here. You walked all the way here just to sit? You got time to sit for a while? She sat on the ground next to me. I don't even know your name. So I don't know your name. I don't know your name either. Mine is Joey. I told you that. Mine is Emily. Nice to meet you again, Joey, she said, reaching out her hand for me to shake. I didn't shake it, though. I just held it. She let me hold it. Where's the little one? Jewel, right? She's inside. You want me to call her out? I shook my head. Where are your folks at? You sure ask a lot of questions, don't you? I just don't like the idea of one of them walking up here and me sitting here with you like this. Sitting how? She asked. You holding my hand? You can always let go of it if you want. The screen door then opened with the little one sticking her head out. Come here, Jewel, you got company, she laughed. Jewel walked out, never taking her eyes off me. She sat down on Emily's lap. Emily kissed her forehead. Jewel wasn't yellow like Emily and me. She was a lot darker. She sat looking at me suspiciously. I nodded my head to her. She screwed up her face as she had done a few days earlier. Jewel, this is Joey. Say hello to Joey, Jewel. She just stared at me. I smiled and nodded my head to her again. This time she nodded back, mimicking me. Hey, ma'am, I said to Jewel. She got off Emily's lap and walked further into the yard. We sat watching her. Emily held her hand out towards me. I held it again. As best I could tell, Jules pretending to be some sort of wild animal. Maybe that was some gang she picked up in school. You go to school? You go to school? I asked Emily. No, not anymore. I went through to the eighth grade. You? My mama taught me at home. Taught me to read and write. I can add and subtract pretty good too. I'm impressed, she said, teasing me. I pulled her hand closer to me. I pulled it to my mouth and kissed it. She pulled her hand back. She stood up and walked towards Jewel. She picked Jewel up and said something to her. She then put her back down. Jewel resumed whatever game it was she was playing. Emily then walked back to where I was sitting. She sat down, not offering her hand to me this time. We sat watching Jewel play. I decided to take a better look around the place. I got up and started looking around. The shack was really in pretty bad shape. There were a couple of broken windows. It must have been pretty miserable there in the winter time. Also, I could just imagine how the roof leaked when it rained. I couldn't see inside the windows. A couple were boarded up. The rest had curtains. There were a couple of other tree stumps close to the house. There was a clothesline out back. There was a pile of wood off to one side of the shack. I could see the shack going up in flames. You looking for something? I heard. No, just taking a look around. Taking a look around for what? She asked. Not looking for anything, just tired of sitting on that stump. Decided to get up and stretch my legs a bit. Is that all right? She looked at me for a moment longer, then turned and walked back to the front of the house. I followed her. She stood in front of the door. She called Jewel over to her. Let's go inside. It's time for dinner. She looked over at me and, without saying anything, turned and walked inside. It may have been a pretty strong hint for me to leave, but she didn't come right out and say go, so I stayed. I retook my post on the stump. I picked up a stick and started drawing in the dirt. That drawing turned into a game of X's and O's I played against myself. She came back out after about an hour. You setting up camp? She asked. Huh? Was my well thought out response. You don't think maybe you've been here long enough? I shrugged my shoulders. She stood there looking at me. I got up. I nodded my head. I stood there looking at her. I wanted to go over to her. I didn't. She came over to me. You work at the grocery, I know. Yes, you know. I work there in the mornings. I can only leave Jewel at the church in the morning when one of the ladies is there. I nodded. She got up close to me and whispered in my ear, come by after church on Sunday if you can. If you can't, I'll just have to spend the rest of the day thinking about you. I smiled and nodded. I reached out my hand for her to shake. She kissed me on the cheek. She smiled. I nodded my head to her again. We stood there looking at each other no more than a foot apart. I reached out and pulled her to me. I kissed her full on the lips. She kissed me back. Then she broke my grasp, turned, and disappeared back inside. Sunday took forever to come. I was sitting on the stump when Emily and Jewel walked up. They were wearing the same blue dresses as from the previous Sunday. They walked by me without saying anything. They walked inside and closed the door. I kept my position on the stump. A little later, Emily came back out. She had changed clothes. She was wearing an all white slip sort of dress. I stood up as she walked up to me. Sit back down. I did. She sat down beside me. Could you rub my neck a little? I didn't sleep right last night. She turned her back to me. She lifted her hair, showing me the back of her neck. I reached out both my hands and began to maul the back of her neck. She pulled away. Not so hard, Joey. What are you trying to do? Pull your hands lightly on my shoulders, then rub your thumbs up and down either side of my neck. I did as she said. This was more pleasing to her. She rolled her head forward. That feels good, she said. I continued until she told me that was enough. She then turned towards me and gave me her brightest smile. She reached out her hand for me to hold. I grabbed for her grabbed for it and pulled it to my lips. I kissed it. She smiled again. A few minutes later, Jewel came out. Hey, Jewel, I said, greeting her. She nodded her head. How old are you? I asked. 4, was her response. You in school? She shook her head. She starts first grade this fall, Emily answered for her. I reached beside me and brought up a sack I had brought. I reached inside and pulled out a side of ham. Can you cook this? I asked. Emily looked at the ham, nodded her head. Then she asked, You inviting yourself for dinner? No, I'm offering to share this ham with you and Jewel. She smiled, got up, took the ham, and walked inside with it. Jewel and I sat there watching each other. Then she got up and started with her wild animal play. I sat there watching her. Emily came back out. That ham's already been cured. Shouldn't take long to heat. I got some other stuff that will go along with that ham nicely. Where's your mama and daddy? I asked. My mom has passed. My daddy, I don't know what happened to him. It's been just me and Jules since my grand passed. How old are you? 16. I look older to folks because of how tall I am. When we buried my grand, the preacher comes to me and says, If you need any help raising the little one, you shouldn't hesitate to ask, and the church would be more than happy to help you both in any way we can. They let me and Jewel live here alone because everyone seems to think I've been 18 for 2 or 3 years. I don't get any older. I don't have any birthdays either. I try to mark Jewel's birthday every year. That's important for someone as young as her. Nobody ever kept track of how old I am except me and my grand. What are you, about the same age as me? Yeah, I responded. I was 2 years younger. Come on, Jewel, she called out. Let's go inside so I can finish with supper. I got up and followed them in. The place looked better from the inside. It was clean. There was a rackety couch that dominated the main room. There was a small kitchen table with 4 chairs. There weren't any dirty dishes in the kitchen, except the one she used. She opened the oven door and pulled out the ham. She had a pot of beans and rice on the stove. I could imagine them eating mostly beans and rice. I never had much of a taste for meat, and my mama couldn't hold it down, but I thought I'd bring something special for Emily and Jewel. Emily sliced the ham thin and put it on a plate. She served the beans and rice from a bowl. We ate. After we were done, Emily and I did the dishes. I would have offered to help her clean the entire house if I thought it would have kept me there longer. After everything was dried and put away, we went and sat on the couch, not too close. Jewel came over and sat between us. I reached my hand to her out to shake her hand. She took it and we shook. Maybe you'd like to read one of your favorite Bible verses to me and Jewel, Emily asked. I took the Bible she offered, turned to the first page, and started. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. I continued until she told me to stop. That's your favorite verse? They're all good. It's the Bible. Guess whose bedtime it is? She said, turning to Emily. It's not my bedtime, Jewel responded. Emily didn't say anything. She got up, picked Jewel up, and headed toward the other room. A few minutes later, Jewel came out in a nightgown. She came over to me and said, Good night, Joey. She reached out her hand to me. I took it and kissed it. She laughed and ran off to the other room. I sat there looking around, even though there really wasn't much to see. Then Emily came back out. You know, it's dark out. Your mama's going to be worried about you. I shook my head. My mama doesn't worry about anything these days. She's not doing real well. She going to be all right? She'll be all right after she passes. Emily sat down next to me, this time as close as she could without sitting on my lap. Want me to read more from the Bible? I asked. She smiled slightly and shook her head. She looked at me really hard, like she was trying to see more in me than there was. She raised her legs and turning towards me, placed her legs across mine. I placed one of my arms around her waist. She put both her arms around my neck, and we kissed. She then took my free hand and placed it between her knees. I looked down at my hand. I watched it part her knees. I watched it slowly move up the inside of her thigh. She pulled herself up to where she was now sitting on my lap. We kissed again. My hand continued along the inside of her thigh. I placed a finger inside of her. She kept on kissing me. I kept on kissing her. I stopped the kissing. I pushed her backwards. She lay there on the couch. I slid out from under her. I lay down on the couch beside her. I kissed her again. We were all wrapped up in each other. I pulled one of her legs up. I put my finger back inside her. I rolled her over to her back and got on top of her. That seems a lifetime ago, but it's only 7 or 8 years since then. Emily probably could have looked after us. Oh, Emily had a way of looking after people. She could focus on the everyday things, with me trying to look beyond what's before me now, which tended to cause problems in dealing with what was before me now. We might have made things work. All I could see at the time was my ending up being forced to look after Emily and Jewel like I had to look after my mother for the last few years of her life. I couldn't have endured that. But Emily was young, strong, getting stronger. My mother was the opposite, but I couldn't see that at the time. I saw them as being the same. That was all past. I had returned. Emily now seemed more capable than me. She ran the motel for my father. She kept Jewel in school. They were both doing well. I wasn't sure how I was doing. I came back more unsure of myself than ever. She was more capable than I was. She walked over to the bed while I lay. She touched my leg, and I sat up. She put a hand on each of my shoulders. I placed my hands on her waist. She pulled my head to her breast. I reached underneath her slip, pulled her underpants down. She pulled away slightly, then stepped out of her underpants. She then placed one of her hands underneath my chin. She came closer, moving her face to mine. I closed my eyes. She then hit me as hard as I could imagine her being able to hit. I grabbed her and pulled her down on me. I rolled us both over. She was face down with me on top of her, holding her down. She didn't struggle to get loose. How could you have left me, Joey? I don't know what I thought, Joey, but I thought better of you. I thought better of us. Better of me? And when my mama died, I just wanted to run away from everything, including you. I just wanted to get away. I didn't want to think about the life I had. I didn't want to have to look after anyone but myself. I know you say you could have looked after the three of us, but I couldn't see that at the time. I can see it now. You've done well. But I just wanted to go someplace else and start new. I found out, though, I couldn't leave the past behind so easily. I thought about you. I thought about you all the time. I thought about how much alike you and I are. I thought about how you and me were meant to be together. I thought about how much you did for me when my mama was sick before she died. I thought about you being the only one at her funeral other than me. I love you, Em. I'm sorry I left you here. Still, I can't stay here. There are other places where black people can live, make a decent living, be with their own kind. I'm begging you to come with me, Em. She lay there quietly. I loosened my grip on her, but I didn't get off her. She was quiet. She was calm. I rolled off and lay beside her. I just lay there with my eyes closed. I felt the bed move as Emily rose. I felt her straddle. She hit me harder than she had before. She kept on hitting me. I pushed her off me. She landed on the floor. She sat there staring at me. I got up and walked towards the door. I went out and stood leaning against the building, just beside the door. I was dazed. Emily had hit me with her fist 4 or 5 times as hard as she could hit. I put my head back and closed my eyes. She soon followed me out. I opened my eyes when I heard the door opening. She stood in front of me with her back turned towards me, crossing her arms in front of her. She seemed calm. There's no way I can undo what's been done, Em. She didn't respond. I know I made mistakes. What can I do other than say I'm sorry? You want me to beg? Okay, I'm begging to you to forgive me. I'm begging you to come with me. I'm not staying here. What you do is up to you. I won't have you hit me, though. You don't know what you did to me when you left me. You can leave places, but you don't just leave people. That doesn't make it all right for you to be hitting me. What are we going to do in the city? Work, live, do whatever we want. I'm trusting you, Joey. I know, Em. I swear I won't let you down again. That's it.